What's up, DAW Nation? My name's Wyatt Troy, and welcome to episode 35 of Behind the DAW, where we interview artists and music industry experts on an emotional, philosophical, and artistic level to get inside their heads, gather the best information, and then bring it back to you. By the way, this is a companion podcast to our YouTube series In the DAW, where we invite artists to dissect their songs in real time. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description. And the best part of all of this is that it's free. Forever, no matter what. Our only request is that if you enjoy this podcast and it's really helping you along your musical journey, go ahead and check out the Behind the DAW Patreon and consider supporting the channel for just $1 a month. If you have any feedback, question, comments, concerns, or you just want to talk, you can contact me at wyatt@behindthedaw.net. All right, DAW Nation, let's get into it. I just want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to all the patrons. If you want to have a private community that's based around In the DAW, Behind the DAW, where you can share your tracks, where you can get feedback, where you can learn about the newest and the best things in the industry, it's all part of the Patreon, man. If you want to keep climbing the ladders all the way up to like private lessons and you coming on the show, man, hey, like I'm not even mad. So go ahead and check that out. Links will be in the description. I got 3 deep questions for you.
Oh, yes.
First big deep question is that if you're on the Earth and you keep going north, you'll eventually go south, correct?
I think so.
But if you go west, you'll always go west and you'll never go east. How is that possible?
Because we rotate on a horizontal axis, right?
No, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Does that answer it properly?
I don't know how that would answer it though. You know what I mean? Like why about a horizontal axis would dictate why one direction changes and one does not? See what I'm saying?
Because we don't spin vertically, so you could go to the other side.
I know that there is the answer. I do know the answer, but if you can come up with the answer, there is an answer for it.
There is an answer? All right, let me try to wrap my head around this one more time. I think you got me.
The reason why, and this took me years to figure out why, is because we have points of references on the north and the south part of the Earth. We have the North Pole and the South Pole. Once you hit that point of reference, then it changes. If you just keep walking one direction, boom. But we have no point of reference on the east and west. You know what I mean? You're getting close.
I was almost there.
You're smart dude. This dude. This is the question that I'm probably most excited for, so I'm actually gonna hold off to the end. So I'm gonna ask you a different one. So this is a classic question, a question that I just blows my mind every time. So have you heard that like each person on Earth, including you and me, we could technically be seeing different colors right now and we would never know it?
What, was there not a way to prove that?
How could you though?
I think there's like a scientific study on like the same thing with like references. I think you could, I'm not exactly sure, but I think you could test for that. But yeah, I mean, we could. Man,
because if we can, that would be absolutely amazing. Because yeah, if I grew up thinking that your green is my red, I would have no way to prove it.
Yeah. And I've had this question come up a couple of times. It's crazy to think about because I have a couple of friends that are colorblind too, or like kind of colorblind, like they don't see certain colors. So I've always wondered what that's like. Yeah,
that's true. So there's already proof that there's people out there that already see different colors. What? Oh my gosh! Wow, I haven't thought about that for a hot minute. So that is lovely. All right.
Well, I don't know if they don't see different ones. They just don't see some.
Yeah, you're right. It's not an additive thing. It's a subtractive thing.
Yeah. But have you seen that the thing on YouTube about the mantis shrimp or whatever that has like 10 times as many cone rods as us in its eyes? For everyone listening, go on YouTube and type in mantis shrimp vision or something like that and listen to that.
Here's the big one. You ready for the big question? The question that I've been waiting so long to ask you because this is so good. I've never heard anything like this before. You ready?
Okay.
So let's say you marry my mom. You would be my stepdad, correct?
I would be your dad, yes. I already like this question.
Okay. So if you married my mom and became my stepdad, but then I married your mom, would that mean that I would be your stepdad as well? So I would be the stepdad?
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, the logic is there. I will say that.
So like we would both simultaneously be each other's stepsons and stepdads.
Yeah, I think that's the only explanation for it is that we're just both dads and both sons.
Do you feel warmed up now? Do you feel like those questions really got you in the mind state?
Yeah, I'm going to be hung up on the dad thing for a while, but let's do it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, man, and for representing FOMO because Garrett is at his day job right now. What the heck does he do for a day job?
He works at a bank, so he'll be exchanging currencies. Yeah, I thought he was going to be able to make it, but he's got to be there today, so I'll take it over.
So what does he do at the bank?
I'm not sure exactly what his position is, but he's there.
You're in a producing duo with this guy, and you don't even know what he does.
No, we just talk about. We don't talk about day job stuff because it sucks.
Absolutely. So really quick to kind of break the ice, you know what I mean? We've got you in the deep mindset, but now we kind of just got to break all those barriers that you have, and just so that everything can just flow. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
I need you to share with us, what is the most embarrassing story of your life? Because if you get that out of the way, then you can say anything you want.
I really want to think about this one for a second.
This is a really good thing for dates. If you go on dates, just get that out of the way. Just be like, what's the most embarrassing thing? You both share it. Just, it's there.
I'm pretty good at laughing at myself. So this is a difficult one.
That's so awesome. That is such a good trait.
Okay, so one of the ones that comes to mind, I don't know if this is the most embarrassing, but it's pretty embarrassing. So this is so the club we play at in San Diego, it's called Omnia Nightclub. And this is like one of the first times we headlined. We hit the play button on like the second drop. While the song was playing, we hit the play button on like the second drop, and then like the music just cut within like a minute of us going on. And then we had good friends there, so they like started chanting FOMO to have our backs. But wow, that's definitely up there.
So what happened? I mean, why did that happen?
The person before us was using a Serato, so they had their computer plugged in. Yeah, so and then like the crossfader was on there weirdly. So like we thought the song was playing, but we put it up and then we cut out the other one, and then it was just silent.
Ah, man.
Yeah,
that sucks, dude.
That's up there.
You don't use Serato? What do you use? Do you use Rekordbox?
Yeah, we just use USBs.
So how often does that happen?
We're pretty good about it ever since that, but it's probably happened like 3 times in 3 years.
So kind of moving from that and going into FOMO as the group. So if no one knows what FOMO stands for, I'm not going to be like Brendan and say it's fear of making out, but what does FOMO stand for?
It's fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out,
yeah.
Which is almost as scary as a fear of making out. So with fear of missing out, what are you afraid of missing out on? You know what I mean? Why that kind of name? Why is it so strong that you would create an entire brand around it?
It originally started like we all lived together in a fraternity in college, and we'd have like, this was like right when like group messaging and stuff was coming out, and we were like a super close-knit group of friends. And it's just whenever any of us wasn't at whatever like social event was going on, you just get that stress of like all your friends having fun and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say like we based our name off that, but it was kind of around that time when it's like the whole like concept of just having fun and not being there is like, you want to be there, you know?
What do you feel like has been one of the big things in your life that you have missed out on, but you wish you could go back and partake of, so to say?
Well, we do work a lot now, so we're missing a lot of things, but it's going to be worth it. But I'm not sure if there's a single thing that sticks out. It's just like whenever your friends are doing something without you and you're just like, get that stress.
You feel like right now you are missing out on a lot, but you're okay with it because it's going to be worth it. You're working towards something now. So what is that thing that you're working towards now that's worth missing out on things?
Just being like fully independent from like music and stuff like that. It's either me working at my real job or me working on music. That's pretty much all I do.
What do you do for a real job?
I have like an executive assistant job. So I just like help out these guys that recently started a business. They just like whatever, like setting up meetings or stuff like that. Just like random stuff. And it's nice because I could do it whenever.
How is it truly to be in a duo? Down to the nuts and bolts of it all. Like, how is it? Do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's a unique situation with us because we started everything together. Like we started from ground zero together, which usually isn't the case. Usually people like meet someone they want to do everything with. But so like we learned with like notes on the keyboard were together. So it's just been fun to just grow entirely from the ground up and just have fun together. And it's just cool to have somebody with you the whole time.
Are you kind of at a point now where you don't know how you could grow without him, kind of a thing? It's just kind of like you've been there growing the whole time together?
Well, right. Currently, he's still in San Diego, but I'm in LA. So we're like kind of doing our own thing right now. So it'll be interesting to see like well, like we still see each other like every week, but it's interesting to see like the overlap and stuff like that. Cause now it's kind of just, we get inspired from different things and we're like practicing different things, seeing different YouTube videos and stuff like that.
You still go back to San Diego quite often because you do perform at Omnia, right?
Yeah, so we play there pretty much every other week. And then this weekend we have, there's a festival called Kaboo Festival in San Diego that we're at too.
So if you knew that, you know, you're going to be playing every other week at Omnia and doing festivals and whatnot, why the move to Los Angeles?
So there's not a lot of people that like produce very seriously, or not a lot that we've met down in San Diego. So I kind of just moved up here to like make musical friends, friends. But it's like the easiest way to get better at something is to just have friends that just do the same thing as you. So I just moved up here to like make friends and work with people.
Is Garrett going to be following you here soon?
Yeah, when it makes sense for him, he's going to come up here too.
That's awesome. So tell me about Omnia. How did you get involved with that all? Because that's a pretty sick gig you guys got going on.
So it originally started, there's this club called Basement in San Diego. And it's kind of crazy how this all happened, but we just sent like a random email one day, one of the like promoters, and said like, look, we'll bring, I think we said we'll bring like 50 people or something. And then can we play at your club? We didn't get to headline. We got to like open up for the main act. And they're pretty good at like promoting local artists there. So if anyone's listening from San Diego, that's a good place to hit up if you want to play shows. Yeah, so we ended up playing there and we brought like 330 people or something like ridiculous. Yeah, just because we were in a fraternity at San Diego State, so we just knew everyone. We just got the attention of a guy who was like a promoter in the area, and then we just played there for like 6 or 8 months. And then since he had been doing everything in San Diego, or promoting all the events in San Diego for like a while, he got us into Omnia, and we played like a 45-minute set or something, and it was terrible. The two clubs are very different. Like Omnia is more like commercial and like poppy kind of club, or not like pop music, but like more radio stuff mixed with dance music and stuff like that. And we just played like a bass heavy set at like the first hour of the club opening, and it was musically it went bad, but the like coordinator there really liked us, and then we just built a relationship with him. He likes us, so we keep on playing.
I loved what you were saying because you brought up really two important things that took me quite a while to understand. So if you were to hit up the people at Basement and you wouldn't have said, we can bring at least 50 people, do you think they would have let you come in? Or is it because you brought value to the table that they're like, hey, come on in?
Definitely always bring value to the table if you're ever proposing anything to anyone ever, especially with like now a lot of people are hitting us up for collabs and stuff like that. You only get like one shot to like get attention from whatever person you're hitting up. So make sure like if you're asking for a collab, like don't just ask for a collab, because you're not coming unless you're like on the same echelon as the person. Like come at that, or like you already have a relationship, it's different. But like if you're like cold emailing someone, like if you want to collab with them, send them 3 ideas that are strong ideas, so like they have something to listen to, because everyone's busy, so they like need to see the benefit in it.
So this whole concept of bringing value to the table is honestly one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not the biggest, because
the biggest, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Because the reason why is because I want you, the producers that are listening to this right now, I want you to think about this as a relationship, okay? Whether it's a friend or a girlfriend or a marriage or whatever, right? The only reason you keep people around, that you allow them into your personal space or into, like your personal bubble, so to say, is because they bring value of some sort, right? If Morgan and I had a friend, let's say his name was Jim, okay? And Jim was a meth addict. And Jim always was asking us for money, always wanted to sleep on our couch, and then he'd leave the couch all disgusting. He's bringing sketchy people around our houses and stuff like that. There is literally no value for us. Not only to the point where there's no value, but like it's dangerous. It's literally extracting all the value out of our lives. So I want you as producers to think about that when you are trying to gain a relationship with other producers that you want to collaborate with, or owners of clubs that you want to meet, and so on and so forth, is that treat it like a relationship. Treat it like you are bringing value to the table in some fashion or not. And if you don't know what value you can bring to the table yet, that's okay. Do some research. You know what I mean? Even just asking them, hey, really love what you're doing. Like for example, if I came to Morgan here and I wanted to reach out to him and kind of forge a relationship. How would you feel, Morgan, if I came to you and was like, hey, dude, I love what you're doing with FOMO. You sound like XYZ. This is really, really amazing. And, you know, like I really look up to you as a producer and I want to, you know, help you on your journey. You know what I mean? Is there anything that I can do for you? I'm good at these areas, but, you know, is there anything I can do for you? I mean, that sounds a lot different than people just sitting up and being like, hey, let's collab, bro, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or just like have something to offer. If you're good at making sounds, like say like, or give them sounds or something like that. Give them like a serum pack or something that you made. Anything that brings value.
Exactly. You know, for example, do the serum pack, right? If I wanted to get really Navy SEAL, if I really wanted to go behind enemy lines and really figure something out, what I would do is I would go to Morgan's Facebook page or do some research, you know, see if there's any interviews by FOMO or whatever. See if there's anything that he says that he likes. So for example, what's something that you like? Could be like a video game or a cartoon or whatever. You know, what's something that's not music related that you like?
Fortnite, for sure.
Okay, Fortnite.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would go and I'd find a bunch of Fortnite PNGs on Google. And then I'd take those PNGs and I'd import them into Serum and make custom Serum wavetables, right? And then I would hit up Morgan and be like, hey, dude, I know you like Fortnite. Made these custom Fortnite PNG Serum patches. Just thought that you would like it. Boom. You know what I mean? That's unique. That's something that he likes. It's two things. He likes Serum, he likes Fortnite. Bam, you put them together. It's just something clever like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And branching off the Fortnite thing, there's these DJs called Nonsense that are really good. You guys should check them out. But I just hit him up on Instagram one day. They were playing Fortnite, and I was just like, yo, what's your guys' username? And then we just started playing Fortnite, and then I got to know them from that. So
no, that's a perfect example. Brendan, who introduced us, Morgan and I, he's met so many people through Fortnite. Just things like that in general, where it's like, you know, that there's something that a producer or someone that you look up to or that you want to work with does something. Mm-hmm. And so you do your research and you connect with them somehow, right? Is this kind of the overall concept?
Yeah, and if you're friends with someone, you're more likely to work with them, so.
Exactly. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, so I brought up, you know, always bringing value to the table. And really, the first thing to bringing value to the table is just asking the question, what problem do they have? What are they struggling with? It doesn't have to be a technical thing. It's like, you know, like what problem do they have? Do they not have enough time to post on their social media? So something like that, you know, just find a problem and then fix that problem, because you'll be bringing value to the table and people want to be friends with you over and over again. So
I'd say that what you just said is actually like the most important question to ask at any time ever about your life, because like to get out of like the whole 9 to 5 thing or like working off the internet or stuff like that, you literally just have to ask the question, like, what's the problem here? And then how can I solve it? And then you're going to make money off of ideas like that. So
exactly. 100%.
Always ask that question.
100%, man. So the other thing that I want you to think about, or sorry, that I wanted to ask you is, you know, you were talking about how you said that you were going to bring 50 people to the club, but you ended up bringing 300. I can't tell you how smart that was, dude, because that is freaking genius. It is, if you want to thrive in any business or any relationship, under promise and over deliver.
Yeah, that's
100% of the time, right?
Yeah.
Because if you would have said, hey, we're going to bring 350 people, and then you only brought 300 people, done.
Doesn't look that good. Yeah.
It doesn't look that good. I mean, he still brought people, we still made us money, but I expected something else. So it's a clever little trick to do. You know what I mean? So with that, has there been a time in your career, besides, you know, you getting the gig at Omni and so on and so forth, maybe more like on a producer to producer kind of level, where you brought value to someone and you formed a really, really powerful relationship? Has there ever been a time like that where you've utilized that and was able to grow a relationship?
Well, there's been a couple times when like we hit people, like what I said about collabing and stuff. We always, whenever we ask for a collab, we always send multiple ideas for like the collab. So it's to get the guy like interested in what we're doing. Because if you just ask for a collab, it's just like, what do you even do if I don't know you? So yeah, definitely just, if you ever want to work with someone, send them strong ideas and make sure they're strong, because you might only get one chance at it.
Absolutely strong, multiple ideas. Because if we put that into an analogy in some other form of business, you know what I mean? Let's say you had an ice cream shop. And you tried to look for collaborators, people to come and buy ice cream from you. How would you feel if you got hit up by an ice cream shop and they're like, hey, we want you to come partake of our ice cream? You're like, dope. What kind of ice cream do you got? And you're like, well, we don't have any flavors yet. What?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that
makes
no sense. Or even if they said, yeah, we only have one flavor. We have chocolate. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not that enticing. But if you came and you're like, yeah, we have this assortment of flavors and so on and so forth, and there's all these things that you come in and partake of, then at that point, the person you're asking to come in, like, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And so it's the exact same thing if you're trying to collaborate with someone. If Morgan here wanted to reach out to, who's a producer that you'd love to collaborate with?
Diplo.
Okay, Diplo. You wanted to reach out to Diplo. It would be, and I would say if it was Diplo, you better have some solid like 10 ideas. They're basically, they're like 80% done. You know what I mean?
You got to have a folder of fire for that.
Yeah, exactly. A folder of fire. That's really good. Have a folder of fire. They're like 80% done. You got top lines on them. They're fantastic. You already have, things established where 3 of these songs are going out on Mr. Suicide Sheep, and 3 of these songs are going out on Trap Nation. You know what I mean? You basically, it's the work is all done, because then Diplo can come in, basically put like minimal work on it and get maximum result, and then you can start forming that relationship. So then he starts putting more work into the next project, and then it becomes more of a 50-50 kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, especially with people that big. Like, you want to make sure you got the work done already.
Totally. So let me ask you this: if we were to look at the totality of your music career, what do you feel like has been the absolute hardest thing to overcome, or to kind of grasp, to help you on your music career?
The hardest thing to grasp?
Maybe like your biggest hurdle, your biggest challenge, or the thing that's kept you up at night, the thing that tempted you to quit, like that kind of thing.
We've always had the mindset of like whatever it takes. So I wouldn't say there's like a thing that was like, oh, I might quit over it. I guess it's sometimes just the magnitude of things that you need to learn to actually be good at this. There's not like a specific thing, but it's just, there's a lot and you have to learn it all.
Totally. Yeah. That makes sense.
And learning from ground zero too was pretty frustrating, because like, you don't think about how much goes into like, I didn't even know what a transposition was when I first started. And so we just had to learn like everything from scratch, which was very difficult. Had to read a lot and just for fun, for those who don't know what a transposition is, what is that? It's just like notes on the keyboard, like up or down on the keyboard. Yeah,
exactly. The term is mostly used when, if you're going from a key to a key. So if you're transposing from C major to A sharp major, it just means that you're switching everything down. You're shifting everything relative to each other. But nonetheless, that makes sense. So it was more so just the acquiring of knowledge. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, just like the magnitude of everything it means to like be a music producer is just a lot sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. How much do you feel like, if we could see like all the information that could be absorbed about music production as like basically, right? So 0%, 100%, right? Mm-hmm. Where do you feel like you would have to fall on that line as far as percentage wise to be able to really launch a successful career? Like, is it 50%? Is it 10%? You know what I mean? Like, where do you feel like you would have to fall on that line in order to be like, yeah, I can actually stand my ground now? Depending on your situation, I'd always say try to get as high as you can before you start. Mm-hmm. I'd say 65, you could start getting like a solid project going. Cool. Because you don't have to know everything. You just have to be good at a couple things. Yeah. To have a good project. No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So is that where you feel like you're at right now, is about 65%? I'd say we're probably at like 75-ish, I want to say. Mm-hmm. But we started from zero. So it was like we were posting stuff from like a couple months after we started, just because you kind of could do that and get away with it like a couple years ago. Totally. But now it's a little different. And I would even say that, in order to get to that 75%, you do have to kind of, how do I say, act like you're at 75%. You still, you need to create a brand. You need to be posting. Even if you don't know what you're doing, it's so much better to get it started than to get it perfect. Yeah. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Absolutely. And definitely like focus on that stuff's all important. Like social media and stuff is important, but make sure you're focusing on, for a music producer, obviously making music as much as you can first. And then like, if you have enough time, then do everything else. What I do now is I wake up around like 5:30 in the morning and I just go 6 hours straight on making music, like no matter what. Nice. There's a book called, I don't know, have you read The One Thing? I've heard of it, but I've never read it before. And reading's really important too if you want to get good at stuff like this. We always we read the Ableton manual, Serum manual, but there's this book called The One Thing, and it just talks about like what it is that's going to make you who you want to be, and for if you're trying to be like a touring artist, like what's going to represent you is your music. So you need to be making music as much as you can. So for us, it's just like wake up, make music for around 6 hours, and then worry about like social media and stuff after that. I completely agree. I love that, and I think it's important to know, we've heard from many different sources. I'm sure you've heard from many different sources that, in order to make it in the industry, in order to make it as a music producer, man, you should be producing like 12 hours a day or 10 hours a day. But I mean, to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense because you're going to get burned out really, really fast. And consistency, small amounts of consistency is way more powerful. It's way more powerful than inconsistent huge amounts. For example, it is so much better to produce for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, than produce 10 hours a day for 1 day a week.
Yeah, just the amount of stuff that you retain just through like sleeping on it or just like from doing it every day is just incredible.
For those who are tuning in, really it's the key to success, no matter what it is. If you want to be a producer, that's awesome. If you want to get good at making sweaters, that's awesome too. It's just consistency. Small amounts of consistency is going to absolutely change everything. So Songculp just asked a question. What's your take on the dominant names helping upcoming artists in the current scene?
A lot of the time, if there's a bigger guy helping a smaller dude, it's not that he's not skilled. It's that the guy is really skilled and they want to see the brand build to where it should be. It's not them helping somebody that's not good yet. They're usually just like, they have fire, but they just don't have followers.
That's so true. That's so true because if you get to a point where like financially or growth wise, you're in a place that you really, really like, it's almost second nature to want to give back. Yeah. Right. Or to teach, to help people that are going.
And you'll be surprised by how many people are willing to help you if you've put in the work already. Like producers like talking to producers. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How do you feel about living in Los Angeles right now? Do you feel like that's helped you a lot along your journey?
So I've been here for 8 weeks now. So I'm like just now like getting settled in and stuff like that. But
for sure,
I'm definitely making the connections I thought I was going to make. And it's nice because I'm close to, like, LA is where music is. So it's nice to be close to everything.
Indeed. So you personally, you're kind of more the person where you desire to be in the physical location where all of that is going on, as opposed to gaining relationships online, so to say. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do it online, but it's just you're way more likely to make a stronger connection with someone if you're actually seeing them in person. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. So kind of switching gears a little bit right now. What is the deepest thought that you've had in the last year?
So this is really deep into like production and stuff. So I've thought about what if I could organize all the sounds that I consider like my best sounds, even like 808 lines, drum patterns and stuff like that, and put it into the DAW in a way that I don't even have to, like, it would randomly generate music based on sounds I already knew were good.
What?
So if you put like 100 bass shots that you know were good into like a drum rack or whatever, and you use the random MIDI effect, and you had some, I would have to think of the way you would do it arrangement wise. Maybe you could have it, you could have a rack, you could have like the MIDI already there, and then have a rack with different type of sounds. So you could just put them like in the arrangement, but sometimes it flips to a different sound, like a chord stab or a bass shot or something like that. And then you just let the computer run and make the music for you based off stuff that you already know is good.
Oh my gosh. I have something that I think you're going to love because I've seen people do it before. It's so smart, dude. And the results are amazing. Do you know who Kermode is?
I do.
Okay. Have you seen him do that before?
Yeah, I've seen him do the random thing where like random drum fills and stuff like that.
Yeah. Exactly. So is that kind of what you're talking about, like in that kind of space?
Yeah. A list of principles that I like associate with music production written down. And one of them is just like, ask yourself how you can make the computer do it for you. And if I think there's a way that you could just make it entirely make a track for you, or at least make a cool idea.
That's amazing, dude. Looks like Balsa said that Flume did that with Skin. That's so crazy. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think he just did it with melody. Like he just let the melody run with something with melody, I think is what I heard. And he just let it run for like 10 minutes because he was like super uninspired, which is also a good idea.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing. So is there any other deep thoughts that you want to share with everyone?
If another one comes up, I'll let you know. There's plenty of stuff to talk about, and I feel like we'll get to a different one. But I think that's my deepest one.
That's awesome. That's still really amazing. So, from you coming in doing this this interview, if there is one question that you wanted me to ask, you're like, Wyatt, that's a question. I freaking love that question. What would be that one?
How did you get good at music production?
Good. Morgan Bunges, how did you get good at music production?
So our biggest thing when we first started was like build a strong foundation. So I think like reading all the manuals is definitely going to take you to where you want to be faster. Nice. And a big concept we like rely on is teaching yourself like a teacher would. A big thing we did when we first started was we'd like read a section about an effect in Ableton and then go inside of Ableton and map out all the parameters and fill up a macro thing within an audio effect rack and then use it on whatever sound. So you have to like apply the knowledge directly after that. And then just like reading in general about how to get good at things is a good way to do it. And then doing it every day, even if it's just a little bit every day.
Absolutely. And that's absolutely amazing. So another question I have for you is, what is the big goal with all this? Like why music? Why music production? Why everything?
For us, it was just the most inspiring thing in the world. So like when we started, it was like right when we started going to like festivals and stuff like that. And to me, that was the most inspiring thing that I had ever come in contact with in my entire life. So I was like, why don't we just do what inspires us the most with our life? And then the big goal is to just push the boundaries as far as I could go and make stuff that inspires us.
That's awesome. Yeah. So at the core of everything is, from what you're saying, is the core of everything is just purely inspiration based, right? It's just something that inspires you.
Yeah, do what makes you happy.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when you would go to these different festivals and whatnot, like what about it inspired you? Was it the visuals? Was it just the bass hitting you in the chest? Like what about it was like, man, this is just wow.
It's just like the whole experience. Like visuals are crazy. You're there with your friends. Music's crazy. Yeah, totally. It's just the entire thing.
That's awesome, man. So how big, so to say, do you want to grow in order to feel like you've accomplished your goals?
We're both really competitive, so I think we'll go as far as like we like to push the limits as much as they can be pushed. So I think like I'll be happy once I don't have to like work a normal job and stuff like that. But I just think just the mindset I have is just like go as far as we can go. So we'll see where that is.
Totally. That makes sense.
Like I'll be happy to make music every day and have enough money to just like live and stuff. Like I'm not searching for money or anything like that. That's awesome. But I also like to push the limits. And if you push the limits, you're going to make a good product and stuff like that.
I agree. I kind of feel like that's a very important trait to have when you, at least, like when you're coming into an artistic field like this, is that you're not getting in it for money. You do want the money, but you want the money for good purposes. You want it so that you can eat and that you can pay bills and so that you can focus on the more important things. I mean, that's certainly what I want for like the In the DAW, Behind the DAW Patreon and everything like that, is just so like I want that money so that I can focus more on this and keep growing this and keep providing this resource to everybody. And so I'm assuming that's the same, right?
Yeah. Or like I want more money to like inspire people more.
Exactly.
Like to build on it takes a lot of money to put on a show and stuff like that. And if you need more money to put on a show that's going to inspire 100,000 people, like you're going to need a fair amount of money to do that. So
exactly. Looks like a Balsa commented on, and he said also a big thing that I've been starting doing is watching In the DAW while being in the DAW. That is amazing and inceptionist, and I love it. Which brings me to my next question, dude. Like, how does it feel to be watching In the DAW for so long and just getting into Behind the DAW now? You've been on the shows and everything like that. Like, how is it?
This is definitely like one of the top 3 craziest things that's happened to us, because it was literally just like I was talking to Garrett about this the other day. I was like, if you'd have told me at the beginning of summer that you're going to be in the DAW at the end of summer, I would have said like bull crap. But here we are. And we've seen, another thing with getting good at or whatever is having like a good YouTube layout, because a big way to get good at things is just have mentors. And like I might not be able to like meet you in person and have you teach me stuff, but it's the same as being on YouTube and me talking to you. So like we have a very organized YouTube subscription thing and like utilize the watch later and stuff like that. Just watching good videos.
I love that, dude. And I want to inquire more about that. So like, let's say that you wanted to learn more about what's a recent subject that you wanted to learn more about pertaining to music production?
Theory stuff that's more like, because you know how there's like scales that are considered spooky or like Egyptian and stuff like that. I feel like there's not a very good educational channel to like teach you more about what sounds like what. It's just like you could search for advanced theory and stuff, but it doesn't really pertain a lot to what I'm doing. So I'm like trying to figure out how to learn more about theory in a way that makes sense to what I'm doing.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. So like let's take that exact thought right now. So you want to learn more about, you know, theory as far as modes and scales and whatnot to evoke certain emotions, right? Can we put that in that sentence? Cool. So with that goal in mind, how would you utilize, like what would be your process of going to YouTube and finding things and organizing them, so to speak, so that you can learn what you need to learn?
I guess my first thing would just be to type in theory for music producers. I've done this and it's like getting more complicated. Yeah, just type in what you're trying to learn on the search thing and then try to find the best video and then like subscribe to that or whatever. And then always go to the related channels because they're going to be related. And then you could find other channels through stuff like that.
I love it. And is YouTube your main source of that, or do you have other sources that you go and search for?
Manuals, obviously, YouTube. There's like somatic stuff is really good for learning. Anywhere you could find a project template.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Or Ableton project. Yeah, Ableton project. Anywhere you could get an Ableton project that you could take apart, because that's where they like the answers to the tests are in there. So just learn those. Yeah,
absolutely. And I would even take that a little bit further and say, you know, I learned this. I'm getting my degree right now in internet marketing, and so one of the big things about that degree is learning, you know, like research is what we're talking about right now. Is the research to go and partake of it. So there's primary research, which is you doing the research yourself, right? So like you going collecting data, so on and so forth, right? And then there's secondary research, and secondary research to me has been where I found the most value, is because you're utilizing other people's research, right? You're utilizing things that people have already done. So you talking about going on to YouTube and searching, you know, like looking at videos that people have made about a certain subject, that's secondary research because you're partaking of something that someone else has done. But that is so powerful to be able to learn so many different things, and also to kind of strip back some of the details of what you're trying to search in order to find something else. So I know that sounds really confusing, so I'll give you an example. So for example, you know how you said you wanted to learn more about music theory. So you searched music theory for producers. What if we remove the for producers part? You know what I mean? What if we just want to learn music theory? And so you're like, hey, how to use music theory to evoke Halloween type feeling, right? If you type that into Google, go to the video section, or you look at, you know, just the normal section to see if there's, you know, is there a website? Is there an article? Is there a TED Talk? Is there, you know, like all that kind of stuff, is that you strip back one detail, make it a little bit more broad, and see if someone else has talked about it in a different scenario. So one of the things that I've done to be able to do that is you're absolutely right. I would go to Google and be like, question for music producers or subject for music producers. But I've been removing that for music producers for a while, and it's been really, really beneficial. Like, so for example, so if you went to YouTube right now and you typed in social media marketing for music producers, I'm sure there's going to be stuff. Yeah. But what I've been doing is like maybe strip back the for producers part and see what other people are doing and see if I can apply it to me. I'll tell you what, dude, like that alone, that has been powerful. And that's brought me on to some really, really powerful podcasts. By the way, if you guys want to know more about that, social media marketing podcast, talk show, something. Anyways, it's really, really good. It keeps up to date on all the things that are going on. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. Also, if you want to learn more about like entrepreneurs and stuff like that, Entrepreneurs on Fire is an amazing podcast. I listen to that all the time and apply so many concepts to my thing. But anyways, totally off on a tangent. That was my bad, man. But it was important. So you would find the video of the subject that you want to learn about, and then would you put it in a playlist, watch later? Like, how do you organize yourself that way?
Yeah, I just do watch later. But like, we've kind of transitioned to, I forget what it was that said this practice, but now it's kind of, we'll only do tutorials when we get to a point where we need them, which I don't recommend to do when it's early on. When you first start, I recommend like looking at as many as you can. Like we've watched in the DAW, every channel you could probably think of, we probably watch every video, because like you have you have a lot to learn and not a lot of things to practice when you first start, but still practice them. But yeah, absolutely. So the usual strategy is like if we're writing a song and say we get it stuck, then we go to tutorials. So we're not just looking at tutorials. It's just like directly correlated to what we're working on.
100%. And really quick, Balsa just he says you should really check out the Signals Music Studio YouTube channel. You ever heard of that before?
Signal? I have not. No,
I haven't either. That sounds really, really awesome. He really goes deep into evoking emotions with music. Boom.
What was that one? Signals
Music Studio. That's pretty cool. That is a dope resource. Freaking Balsa bringing value to the table. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier. So thank you, man. Really, really appreciate that. So yeah, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah, that's nice. So just as a quick question, this definitely does not need to be included. But like, is there any other like subjects that you really, really want to talk about? Like something that you're like, man, this is the time I really want to talk about this.
There definitely is.
There definitely is.
Let's come back to that. I'll think of it as we go.
Cool, man. So it's more of a technical question. It completely just applies to today. So in about 1 minute, they're about to start the new Apple event where they talk about like all the new devices that are coming out, the new phones.
Oh, is that really today?
That's literally in less than 60 seconds. It's going to start.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's important. Cool. Yeah. So if you could, like, as a music producer, like if you could have something crafted, you know, some kind of technological something or another that could just help you so much in your music production journey, like what would be that one thing that's like, this is a game changer? You know what I mean? Whether it's like software, hardware, or something like that. It's just like, what is this? This is amazing.
I like things that are random.
Okay.
So I guess I say just any random plugin in general, I think is really good. Or anything like something that, let's just say just anything that produces results randomly, because it'll make things that you wouldn't probably have done. And then you could learn from what it's doing. Like I just downloaded a bunch of Glitch Machines plugins.
Nice.
And they make crazy sounds. And then I just put like a single tone, like the root note of a song, and just let it do whatever random thing. And then I go back and study what like its random processes were. Yeah. So there's just a lot to learn from randomness.
That's absolutely amazing. And
yeah.
Have you, do you have all the native instrument stuff?
I have complete.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. So inside of, what is it? Inside of Reactor, do you use Reactor very much?
I do not. We actually don't use anything on there that much.
Oh, dude, Reactor is stupid powerful. The reason why is because they have it's so weird how they have it set up. It's like a device inside of it's like a plugin in a plugin. It's really weird how they have that set up. But basically, there's this instrument inside of Reactor. It's called Scroll, I think it's called. But it's exactly what you're talking about. Like it's hyper random. Like no one really knows how it works because it's so random. And you know, like you twist a knob and it creates a certain sound, and it's just like it's so crazy. So if you're it's like super into random, Scroll, I think it's like SKREWL. It's something really weird like that. So if you want, I can send you a tutorial. It's freaking amazing.
Oh, I think I got something we could on the other thing that we just talked about. What I want to talk about, I guess like writing, getting out of your DAW and writing about your music. And like getting stuck and stuff like that. So it's before we even start, I think we went over this in the DAW, but before we even start writing music, we like write thoughts or like keywords about our music. So just so we like have our thoughts down on paper already, because you could get stuck just like writing forever and not really thinking about what you're doing and just wasting a ton of time. Like, especially with writer's block, like you could just be stuck there trying random stuff and never getting a result where if you like, so a big thing with having like an actionable plan is just like when you get writer's block, it's you write down by the end of the day, have 3 different ideas or versions of what you could do. So then you stop like messing around and thinking about how to actually solve your problem instead of like trying to guess it. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah. So we journal a lot just about what happened, what worked and what didn't and stuff like that. So just, whenever you get stuck, think about what you're stuck on and then actually think about it and then come back in the DAW instead of trying to do things randomly.
I absolutely love that. I learned this when I was going to Icon from one of my teachers. He gave me an analogy. Have you ever heard about the analogy of the 2 kids that need to cut down a tree with an axe?
I don't think so.
This is a really good analogy, and I highly encourage anyone to take notes on this because it's so powerful. So what it is, like let's say that you and I were out in the forest and our employer's like, hey guys, here's 2 axes, cut down these trees. Whoever cuts down the tree first gets paid, basically. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'll be the bad guy. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so I just start. The axe, it kind of sucks. It's kind of broken a little bit. It's dull, it's whatever. But I just start going. I just start cutting into that tree. I'm just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You are the smart one. You look at it. You see that the handle could be fixed. It could be sharpened up. And you're like, all right, you know what? I'm going to prepare for this. So you go back home, which is an hour drive. You go back home. You fix the handle. You sharpen it up, which takes another hour, and then you drive back. So that's 3 hours. You haven't even started cutting into the tree yet, right? Mm-hmm. You just prepared. You just been doing preparing. You get back, and I'm 3/4 of the way done. I only got a quarter left, right? And I'm like, what is he doing? He left. There's no way. But because you took the time, you fixed the handle, you sharpened the axe, now you can just destroy this thing. 20 minutes, you're done. You know what I mean? You prepared, you're done. And so the concept is this, is that preparing, even though paradoxically it seems like it's taking you away from the task that you're supposed to do, but by preparing, in the end, in the long term, it's going to save you a hilarious amount of time and effort and energy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, man. When you were telling me about that and in the DAW, when you're saying you go and you write all the things down that you want to encapsulate inside of that song, I'm like, this guy knows, man. Like,
yeah.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely amazing. So thinking about that right there, that concept of how you guys prepare to make music and so on and so forth, like what would you say to the producers that are more like, I'm just a free bird. I just like to create. I just like, I like to be random at this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, what would you say to them?
If it works, but you'll save time. So like one part of our process is like writing down our thoughts, and then we'll go to Splice and like type in like keywords to find like samples that resonate with our ideas. Mm-hmm. And like just from doing that, you'll have a sample that like just already solves a problem for you or writes half the drop for you. And then from there, I mean, you're free to do whatever other creative things you need to do with the rest of the track.
It sounds like the answer that you're giving is, do you want it to work or do you want it to work in a timely manner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you also, like, depending on, like, your creative style, you still need to, like, have goals and reach them. And time turns out to be very important for reaching goals.
Important.
Yeah.
So important. It's one of the key ingredients. No, that absolutely makes sense. We're coming to the end of our session, which is very sad because this has been really, really good, man. This
is fun.
Very impressed with the depth that you've brought to the table. So I'm going to bring one last deep question to the table for you. So basically, and I don't ask this with everyone, but you seem like you would have a really good, sincere answer with it. So the question I got for you is, the question that I have for you is, if you were able to sit down with a higher spiritual being, right? In this instance, we'll call him God. Mm-hmm. So if you were able to sit down with God and you were able to ask God one question that that you would receive the answer to, but it's only one question. There's no follow-up questions, right? So you only get one chance to ask one question that that he will answer. What would that question be? In a sincere sense, because everyone loves to make jokes with this, but sincerely, like, what would you ask that you're like, it's one of the deepest desires of your heart?
Why did you do it?
Why life?
All right, why life? Yeah.
Why existence?
I feel like why is always the strongest question out of all of them. Like, especially for us, we always try to, in everything we do, it's just why. Just so you, like, I think there's a saying called find your why with like music production. Mm-hmm. Just so like your goals are always clear along the way. But just like finding out what the why is like the deepest question of all, I feel like.
I like that. And so, up to all of the knowledge and wisdom that you've gained up to this stage in your life, what do you feel like the answer would be?
Oh, wow.
You get a mental workout for coming on the show, man.
I don't think I know. I think that's why I have the question.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the common answers that I've heard when I've asked that question is, why? Like why? All that is basically like, most of the answers have been like artistic related, where it's like, God is the ultimate creator. Mm-hmm. And so him creating humanity or the earth or all that kind of stuff, was an action of creation and creating for creation's sake. Another common answer is that the ultimate goal is family, is connection, is that kind of thing. And so he created us as children and so on and so forth. You know, that kind of, those are very, very common ones. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think that's probably right, to create. Yeah.
To create.
I just feel like somebody at that level would say some stuff that would just blow your mind.
Yeah, it's so true, man.
That's definitely part of the answer for sure. Just because it's cool to see what happens. Just like with music. Yeah, it's just cool to see what happens.
There's definitely something godlike when it comes to creation, even if it's something seemingly insignificant as a song, you know, compared to creating an entire universe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something seemingly insignificant as a song, there's still something in creation in any form that just speaks to the deepest part of us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're just bringing something into fruition that doesn't exist. Like the song, when you write a song, it just wasn't there, and now it's there.
Man, that is so deep.
Yeah.
Man. The most important question, my friend. Did you have a good time coming on the show?
Yeah.
Yeah! Oh, yeah, man. Is there anything that we could have done to make this interview better for you?
No, that was all good with me.
All right, man. That sounds good. So thank you so much to Morgan Bunges for coming on. He is 0.5 of FOMO.
0.5
of missing out. Not fear of making out. Dang it, Brendan, you got that stuck in my head. Anyways, fear of missing out. Does it make you mad when people say fear of making out?
No, I like what everyone thinks of anything.
Totally.
That's funny.
Perfect, man. All right, man. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this on the live stream. If you have any questions for Morgan here, please put them in the comments or direct message him, preferably on Instagram, correct?
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, preferably on Instagram.
Or Twitter. Twitter's cool.
Or Twitter. And if you have any questions for me, any comments, concerns, needs for therapy, whatever you need, hit me up. You can hit me up here. You can hit me up on the email, wherever you guys want. Make sure to check out that Patreon. The community is amazing there, and it helps us keep doing amazing interviews like this. So with that being said, thank you for coming behind the DAW, man. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the DAW. We really hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy the questions that we asked, or would you have liked to hear different ones? If you're listening to this on iTunes or any other podcast-related app, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. And if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, make sure to like, comment, and follow, and we'll see you next time on Behind the DAW.